before the sun crests over the Texas grasslands, before the cattle stir and the horses whicker in the dawn air, there were men like Samuel moving through the morning mist, black cowboys, quiet legends whose stories have always been here, whispered across these vast landscapes. Picture the sun just beginning to rise over the endless expanse of Texas grassland, painting the sky in soft shades of amber and rose. The air is crisp and clean, carrying the scent of sage and wild flowers across the rolling plains. In the distance, you can hear the gentle lowing of cattle, a sound that has become as familiar as breathing to the men who tend them. Among these men, moving with quiet confidence through the morning mist, are the black cowboys whose stories have been whispered by the wind across these vast landscapes for generations. Imagine watching as Samuel adjusts his worn leather chaps, the material creaking softly as he prepares for another day on the trail. His hands, weathered by years of rope work and sun exposure, move with practiced ease as he checks his gear. The spurs on his boots catch the early morning light, their gentle jingling creating a rhythm that matches his steady footsteps across the dusty ground. Samuel was born into slavery in Mississippi, but freedom came to him with the end of the war, and like so many others, he found his way west, drawn by the promise of work and the vast open spaces that seemed to stretch on forever. The bunkhouse where Samuel sleeps is a simple wooden structure, its walls worn smooth by countless hands and marked by the passage of time. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of leather, tobacco, and the lingering smoke from the previous evening's fire. Rough wooden bunks line the walls, each one home to a cowboy whose story is written in the calluses on his hands and the lines around his eyes. Here, black cowboys work alongside white cowboys, Mexican vaqueros, and Native Americans, all united by the shared demands of ranch life and the mutual respect that comes from relying on one another in the harsh wilderness. Watch as Samuel makes his way to the corral, where the horses stand waiting in the pale morning light. His favorite mount, a sturdy bay mare named Duchess, recognizes his approach and whickers softly, her breath visible in the cool air. The relationship between a cowboy and his horse is sacred, built on trust and understanding that goes deeper than words. Samuel's hands are gentle as he runs them along Duchess's neck, checking for any signs of soreness or injury from the previous day's work. The saddle leather is supple and well maintained, darkened by years of use and countless miles under the Texas sun. As the day begins in earnest, you can hear the soft sounds of preparation throughout the ranch. The cook, a grizzled man named Moses, who earned his freedom before the war and made his way west with nothing but his skill with a Dutch oven and an iron will, is already at work preparing breakfast. The aroma of coffee and bacon fills the air, mixing with the scent of leather and horse sweat to create the distinctive smell of ranch life. Moses moves with quiet efficiency, his hands skilled from years of feeding hungry cowboys on the trail, knowing that a good meal can make the difference between a successful day and a dangerous one. The cattle drive begins with the gentle sound of hooves against earth, a rhythm that will become the heartbeat of the next several weeks. Picture the vast herd stretching out before you, thousands of longhorn cattle moving like a living river across the landscape. Black cowboys ride point, flank, and drag positions, their voices calling out in the special language of the range, a mixture of commands, encouragement, and warnings that keeps the herd moving in the right direction. The dust rises in clouds around them, coating everything in a fine layer of Texas earth, but they ride on, their faces set with the determination of men who know their worth is measured not by the color of their skin, but by their ability to do the job. Listen to the sound of leather creaking as a cowboy named Ezra adjusts his position in the saddle, his rope coiled and ready at his side. Ezra learned to ride before he could properly walk on a plantation in Louisiana, where his grandfather taught him the old ways of handling horses. Now, on the open range, those skills have made him invaluable. His lasso moves through the air with deadly precision, the rope singing as it flies toward its target. When a steer breaks from the herd, Ezra is there, his horse responding to the slightest pressure from his knees, both man and animal working in perfect harmony to bring the wayward animal back to the fold. The midday sun beats down mercilessly, turning the landscape into a shimmering heat haze. Water becomes precious and the cowboys drink sparingly from their canteens, knowing that the next reliable water source might be miles away. The black cowboys have learned to read the land like a book, understanding the subtle signs that indicate water nearby. They know that certain plants grow only near underground springs, that the flight patterns of birds can lead to hidden streams, and that the behavior of the cattle themselves can reveal the location of water sources invisible to the untrained eye. As the afternoon wears on, you can see the skill and expertise that has made black cowboys legendary throughout the West. Watch as a cowboy named Joshua demonstrates his mastery of the lariat, the rope flowing through his hands like water as he practices his technique. His movements are fluid and economical, each motion serving a purpose, nothing wasted. The rope becomes an extension of his arm, responding to his will with an almost supernatural precision. This is not mere showmanship, but a vital skill that can mean the difference between life and death when dealing with angry cattle or wild horses. The evening brings a different kind of work as the cowboys make camp under the vast star-filled sky. The cook fire crackles and pops, sending sparks dancing into the darkness while the aroma of beans and coffee mingles with the smoke. Around the fire, the men share stories, their voices low and intimate in the darkness. Here, the artificial barriers of society seem to fade away, replaced by the natural hierarchy of the range, where respect is earned through skill, courage, and reliability rather than birthright or privilege. Picture a cowboy named Jeremiah, his face illuminated by the flickering firelight as he tells a story about a particularly difficult river crossing. His voice is deep and melodious, shaped by years of singing to calm frightened cattle during thunderstorms. The other cowboys listen intently, their faces reflecting the orange glow of the flames, each man adding his own observations and experiences to the tale. These stories serve a purpose beyond entertainment, passing down knowledge and wisdom that could save lives in similar situations. The night brings its own challenges and responsibilities. The cowboys take turns standing watch, riding slowly around the sleeping herd in the darkness. The sound of their voices drifts across the plains, singing gentle songs that keep the cattle calm and alert any predators that the herd is well protected. These night songs are a mixture of spirituals learned in childhood, work songs developed on the range, and lullabies that somehow seem perfectly suited to the vast darkness of the prairie night. In the pre-dawn hours, when the world is still and quiet, you can almost hear the thoughts of a cowboy named Abraham as he rides his circuit around the herd. He thinks about the family he left behind in Georgia, wondering if they're safe and whether he'll ever see them again. The war changed everything, scattering families like leaves in a storm, but it also opened doors that had been closed for generations. Out here on the range, Abraham has found something he never expected, a sense of belonging, a place where his skills and character matter more than his history. The morning brings a familiar routine of breaking camp, but watch closely and you'll see the subtle ways in which the black cowboys have adapted to their environment. They know which plants can be used for medicinal purposes, which roots can provide nutrition when food runs low, and which animals serve as early warning systems for dangerous weather. This knowledge, passed down through generations and augmented by hard-won experience, makes them invaluable members of any crew. As the cattle drive continues across the seemingly endless landscape, you begin to understand the true scope of what these men accomplished. They helped drive millions of cattle from Texas to railheads in Kansas, Missouri, and beyond, covering hundreds of miles of dangerous territory filled with rivers to cross, storms to weather, and hostile encounters to navigate. The black cowboys among them were not merely participants in this great migration, but often leaders, their expertise with horses and cattle making them indispensable to the success of the enterprise. Picture the moment when the herd reaches a river crossing, the water running swift and deep with spring runoff. The cowboys must make split-second decisions that could mean the difference between success and disaster. Watch as a cowboy named Daniel guides his horse into the churning water, his voice calm and steady as he encourages the lead steers to follow. The other cowboys position themselves strategically along the riverbank, their ropes ready to assist any animal that might struggle in the current. Daniel's horse, a reliable gelding named Thunder, picks his way carefully across the rocky bottom, his rider's weight perfectly balanced to help maintain stability in the treacherous footing. The social dynamics of the range are complex and ever-changing, while the shared dangers and hardships of trail life create bonds that transcend racial boundaries. The prejudices of the outside world are never completely absent. Black cowboys must navigate these challenges with wisdom and diplomacy, earning respect through their actions while remaining vigilant against those who would seek to diminish or exploit them. Yet in this harsh environment, merit has a way of asserting itself, and the cowboys who prove themselves reliable and skilled find acceptance among their peers. Consider the story of a cowboy named Caleb, who earned his reputation during a particularly violent thunderstorm that scattered the herd across miles of rough terrain. While other cowboys took shelter, Caleb rode out into the storm, his rain slicker streaming water, his hat pulled low against the driving rain. For hours, he worked to gather the frightened cattle, his voice rising above the thunder as he sang to calm them. By morning, he had managed to collect nearly half the scattered herd, an accomplishment that earned him the respect of even the most skeptical members of the crew. The tools of the trade become extensions of the cowboy's body, each piece of equipment carefully chosen and maintained. Watch as a cowboy named Isaac repairs his bridle, his fingers working with practiced skill to mend a break in the leather. The reins must be strong enough to control a powerful horse, yet supple enough to allow for subtle communication. Isaac's hands move with the certainty of long experience, each stitch placed with precision, born of knowing that his life may depend on this equipment functioning properly when needed most. The horses themselves are characters in this ongoing drama, each one with its own personality and capabilities. A cowboy named Marcus works with the young stallion that shows promise but still needs training. The process is slow and patient, built on trust and understanding rather than force. Marcus's voice is soft and encouraging as he guides the horse through its paces, teaching it to respond to the subtle cues that will make it a valuable partner on the range. The relationship between horse and a rider is one of mutual respect, each depending on the other for survival in the unforgiving environment of the open range. As the seasons change, so do the demands of ranch life. Spring brings the excitement of roundup, when cattle that have scattered during the winter months must be gathered and sorted. The black cowboys demonstrate their skills at cutting horses, separating specific animals from the herd with movements so precise they seem almost choreographed. Summer brings the long trail drives, weeks of monotonous travel punctuated by moments of intense danger. Fall means preparing for winter, ensuring that the herds are positioned near adequate shelter and water sources. Winter brings its own challenges, as the cowboys work to keep the cattle alive through storms and cold that can kill the unprepared. The loneliness of the range is a constant companion, but it's a loneliness that comes with its own rewards. Picture a cowboy named Benjamin sitting alone on night watch, the vast expanse of stars stretching endlessly overhead. The silence is profound, broken only by the gentle sounds of the sleeping herd and the soft footfalls of his horse. In this solitude, Benjamin finds a peace that was impossible in the crowded, hostile world he left behind. Here, under the infinite sky, he is truly free, limited only by his own courage and skill. The code of the range is unwritten, but universally understood. Cowboys help each other without question, share their food and water with those in need, and never abandon a partner in trouble. This code applies regardless of race or background, creating a brotherhood forged in the crucible of shared hardship and mutual dependence. Watch as a cowboy named Elijah shares his meal with a new hand who lost his supplies in a river crossing. There are no words exchanged, no expectation of repayment, just a simple recognition that today's generosity might be tomorrow's salvation. The skills required of a cowboy go far beyond riding and roping. They must be veterinarians, able to diagnose and treat injuries and illnesses in both horses and cattle. They must be meteorologists, reading the sky for signs of dangerous weather. They must be engineers, figuring out how to cross rivers, navigate canyons, and overcome obstacles that would stop less determined men. They must be diplomats, able to negotiate with hostile parties and resolve conflict without violence when possible. Most importantly, they must be leaders, able to make decisions under pressure and inspire confidence in others when the situation becomes desperate. The food of the trail is simple but nourishing, designed to provide energy for long days of hard work. Picture the cook preparing beans and bacon over the open fire, the aroma mixing with the scent of coffee that has been boiling since before dawn. Hardtack biscuits, tough enough to survive weeks of travel, are softened with bacon grease and washed down with strong coffee. On special occasions, there might be fresh meat from a steer that died during the drive, but most of the time the diet consists of preserved foods that can withstand the rigors of the trail. The weather is both friend and enemy to the cowboy. A gentle rain can provide relief from the heat and dust, but too much rain can turn the plains into a muddy quagmire that makes travel impossible. Wind can provide cooling relief or drive dust and debris with such force that it becomes difficult to see or breathe. The sun provides necessary warmth and light, but can also be a merciless enemy, baking the landscape and creating dangerous conditions for both man and beast. The cowboys learn to read these signs, adapting their plans and strategies to work with the weather rather than against it. The brands burned into the hides of the cattle tell stories of ownership and origin, but they also tell stories of the men who applied them. Each ranch has its own distinctive mark, and the cowboys who work there take pride in the reputation associated with their brand. A cowboy named Silas takes particular satisfaction in the clean, precise brands he creates, knowing that his work will identify these animals for the rest of their lives. The branding iron must be heated to just the right temperature, applied with just the right pressure, held for just the right amount of time to create a clear permanent mark without causing unnecessary suffering to the animal. The relationship between the cowboys and the Native American tribes they encounter is complex and varies greatly depending on the specific circumstances and individuals involved. Some encounters are hostile, requiring vigilance and diplomacy to avoid violence. Others are peaceful, with opportunities for trade and cultural exchange. The black cowboys, having experienced their own struggle with oppression and displacement, sometimes find common ground with the Native Americans, leading to mutual respect and understanding that transcends racial boundaries. The towns at the end of the trail drives are a study in contrast, offering both welcome relief from the hardships of the range and new challenges for the cowboys. Picture the dusty main street of a Kansas railroad town, filled with the sounds of commerce and celebration as another herd reaches its destination. The cowboys, paid for their months of hard work, must navigate the temptations and dangers of civilization, knowing that their behavior will reflect not only on themselves, but on their race as a whole. The saloons and gambling halls offer escape from the monotony of trail life, but they also present opportunities for trouble that could have serious consequences. The evolution of the cattle industry brings both opportunities and challenges for the black cowboys. As the open range gives way to fenced ranches and the railroad network expands, the nature of the work changes. Some cowboys adapt by learning new skills, becoming foremen or ranch managers. Others find themselves pushed out by changing economic conditions and increasing racial tensions. The golden age of the cattle drive is relatively brief, lasting only a few decades, but its impact on American culture and the lives of the men who participated in it is profound and lasting. The legacy of the black cowboys extends far beyond their immediate contributions to the cattle industry. They helped establish the mythology of the American West, contributing to the development of the cowboy as a cultural icon. Their skills with horses and cattle influence ranching practices that continue to this day. Their stories, passed down through generations, help to illuminate a chapter of American history that has often been overlooked or forgotten. In their quiet competence and dignified perseverance, they embodied the best qualities of the American frontier spirit. As the sun sets over the endless plains, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, you can almost see the ghostly figures of these cowboys still riding their eternal rounds. Their voices still echo in the wind. Their songs still calm the restless cattle. Their spirits still embody the freedom and possibility that drew them west in the first place. The landscape they rode across has changed, but their contributions to the American story remain as permanent as the stars that guided them through countless nights on the open range. That's all for now. Let the dust settle. Let the fire fade. I'll see you on the next quiet ride.